Ladies and gentlemen, please be standing for the West Coast Mayor, Councillor Shane Moore, accompanied by the Managing Director Denise McGuckin.
Good evening, everybody. If you just take a seat. Okay. Can I receive any apologies for absence?
Thank you, Chair. I've received apologies from Councillor Ashton. Are there any more on the floor?
No? Okay, thank you. Are there any declarations of interest by members on any of the agenda items? Councillor Hargreaves.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to declare an interest on, it's item 9, it's the second report on the nominations for conferment Cynic Honours, and I will leave the room when that's discussed.
Are there any others? No? Right, there are no items of business required by statute, so we'll move on to the minutes of the last meeting held on the 28th of September. So we'll take those ones first. Can we approve those minutes? Yeah. And also the minutes for the extraordinary council meeting on the 16th of October. Can we approve those? Okay, are there any questions on, we'll take the September meeting first. Councillor Bash.
Yes, Chair, I've got one question with regard to this, the September meeting. On part 41 of those minutes, I asked a question about the minutes before as to whether our Member of Parliament, who had been contacted I believe in February about the crisis facing looked after children in Hartlepool, and then again in July by the Council, whether we've had a response. Can I repeat my question to now you know that it's November and December? Has the Council had, the Managing Director or the Corporate Body of the Council had a response on this issue?
I haven't.
I haven't.
Chair, can I therefore move that we write to our Member of Parliament, reminding her of her responsibilities and admonishing her for not having the common decency to even acknowledge correspondence from this Council about a crisis that is affecting Hartlepool children, that is affecting this institution and in terms of its budget, to be able to live with themselves, Hartlepool people, to not even respond is pretty shameful. And I would ask, I would move formally the Council write her, admonishing her for her behaviour and demanding a response.
And a second to that, Councillor Harrison. Is there any dissent from that request? No? Okay, thank you. And then the minutes of the meeting held on the 16th of October, are there any questions on those minutes? Councillor Bradford.
Thank you very much, Chair. This is a fantastic innovation. The action plan, love it. I believe it was the previous idea. Congratulations, Councillor, it's excellent. I can't help but notice, though, that there is a gap in the action complete column for part 3 of that extraordinary council, which said that the matter of whether the Conservative coalition backs Labour's plan for a council tax freeze be referred to the leader of the council for an immediate answer. It was October, and an answer demanded yes or no. That action's not been completed. Can I seek some guidance from yourself, Chair, or indeed our legal officer about how that action is going to be completed?
The investigation is ongoing, and we've not put that question.
Chair, with respect, my question is absolutely 100% not about the ongoing investigation, which should be carried out completely independently in this place. The third part makes no reference to that investigation. It simply asks whether the leader of the council supports the council tax increase. He's perfectly free to answer no if he wants. It's an action, it's not been completed. It was agreed by this council. Can you please have an answer?
As the investigation is ongoing, most people haven't been interviewed yet, and that's I've already said previously that we're waiting for robustness advice. That's what we're going to do.
Thank you. Are there any further questions on the minutes from the October meeting? No? There's no business required by statute to be done. Just on the announcements from myself, just to remind members, and I know you have had an email about it, that there is a civic carol service held at St Hilda's Church on Thursday the 13th of December. You are all more than welcome. Is it the 14th? I've got the day on. 14th. Thursday the 14th of December, and you're all welcome to it. Is there anything you nothing to be disclosed under item 8. Item 9, consider reports from the Council's committees and receive questions and answers from those reports. We'll start with periodic review of the Council's constitution.
This report sets out the Constitution Committee's recommendations following their meeting on 13th of November. The proposals and recommendations of the committee are set out in section 3 of the report, and members are asked to consider the recommendations and should any changes be approved, to delegate authority to me to make those changes to the Constitution. I'm happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions from members on that report? Councillor Rush.
Chair, just in terms of, I guess, what the Labour Group are and I'm not prepared to support. We're happy with all the proposals tonight, with one exception, which is the appointment of the ceremonial mayor. There's a nasty rumour going around that this is the retirement plan for some of the members opposite, simply by virtue of being here long enough to get to be the ceremonial mayor. We do agree the ceremonial mayor position needs reform. We absolutely do believe that. We have said for a long time, and Councillor Harrison's been a major proponent of this, that the role should actually be split. So you have a chair of council who's appointed on the basis of their ability to do the job effectively, and a ceremonial mayor who gets to do the other aspects of the role that we believe should actually go to a community champion. I know from some of the discussions that there's a belief we should take the politics out of the position. I actually think we should take the politicians out of the position and actually start recognising and rewarding people of our community. But until such time as we put those proposals forward, we're not prepared to be in a position where, by virtue of simply being around long enough, without any reference to the ability to chair meetings you're doing so well tonight, Chair, we're not prepared to support that. It's an important role to chair a council meeting. It should be done by someone who's there on merit, appointed by the council, not on virtue of how long they've been here.
Thank you. I think if I can just add to that, Councillor Rush, it was me who put the proposal forward, and as I explained in the committee at the time, this was actually the system that this council used to operate prior to the elected mayor system coming in. However, as I explained to members at the time, it adds a level, the proposal added a level of consistency, so you always knew who the deputy mayor was and who would follow on to become the mayor. It was almost a year of training as you moved up there, so there was the opportunity for the deputy mayor to undergo training, especially in chairing skills, as opposed to just a deputy mayor randomly being selected and then or a mayor even, and chair of council, and then hoping that they are sufficient enough. I also stated that by virtue of being one of the longest serving councillors, one would assume that that councillor has numerous skills themselves, and have been around long enough, they will have potentially chaired committee meetings or other meetings, and so therefore would have gained some of those skills. I reiterated the fact that it was important to remove the politics out of it, and I've understood exactly where Councillor Harrison is coming from. Every time she's raised the point at Constitution Committee over a number of years that I've sat on there with her, but as has been frequently explained, until the law is changed, we can't split those two rules. So I appreciate what you're saying. Until you put proposals forward to change that, then you wouldn't support it. But until the law is changed, you wouldn't be able to put those proposals forward. And so what we're proposing puts a fairer system in place. It means that, as has been the case while the coalition has been in control of the council, it has always been a coalition councillor. As was the case when Labour were in control of the council, it was always a Labour councillor. And whilst you might argue that by selecting people on merit, I think we can all agree that that hasn't been the case in the past, and we have had some chairs of council who haven't been chosen on merit and haven't particularly, or perhaps, been up to the task of chairing council. So these proposals sought to try and rectify. Councillor Brash.
Chair, I take all of that on board, and it's put it down to humility. I think the current system does not always get the right people in a position. But the reality is, we actually disagree with you on the point you make about splitting the role. We actually think, and we had advice that you can actually do it if you do it in a very particular way. Where the legal entity of the mayor rests is one thing. Who gets to attend community events on behalf of this place is quite another. We're very clear. You can have, if you want to say a day mayor, you can go to those events, and maybe cancel one night mayor. This is a way of actually ensuring that you get the right person doing the job.
I have to agree, Councillor Brash, and the point there against Councillor Young, and also the earlier point about members on this side wanting a retirement plan, as was pointed out at the Constitution Committee, the next person in line for this role would be a Labour member. If we may not want it, however, that wasn't known when the proposal was put forward. Councillor Hargreaves.
Doesn't really speak to us, but just thinking about what you said and how you articulated it, Chair. I mean, you yourself didn't do a year before you became Chair, so I mean, we have to recognise and obviously you come with certain skills, not having had that year in waiting in the way that you said. And I think the reality is that if we just go with someone who's been here the longest, there is a danger that actually by the time the person that we select, that person might have sat here for a long time, and actually it might be a bit stressful for them to be the person who goes out many times during the week and has to chair the meetings. I mean, we do have to consider that actually, we might be flattered, one might be flattered into accepting a position that maybe is not the right position for them. And the council has always worked in a way that actually we should all of us should want to select somebody that is up to the job of chairing us wonderful people and our many thwarted conversation. But we should, I don't see what's wrong with that. I don't see what's wrong with us just selecting in the way that we always have the person who we all feel is the best person for the job.
Councillor Hall.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Most of my comments are reiterated by yourself and Jonathan Brash. But I won't come to read through my comments at the moment. Redacted. To me, I believe that democracy is paramount. Residents elect councillors and they will elect a mayor from their party, not interfering from a clause in the Constitution. I know that both parties have made a few mistakes for selecting the mayor, but democracy, as I say, is paramount. What if the longest member of the service is not up to the job to do that job? What if the person has no time without work commitments? I notice a lot of most of the mayors in recent times are retired from work. What if the person has medical issues? So if we have a vote this morning, tonight, on both sides, I would urge any members, maybe unanimous or abstain with any cautions of my comments at the moment. Thank you, Mayor.
Are there any further comments? Okay. I guess we'll need to take, given that's the only point that has been challenged, can we take the rest of the recommendations as a vote on block? Yeah? Is there any dissent from those recommendations? Okay. So specifically, in relation to, what is it? Appointment of the ceremonial mayor, we will need to go to a vote. I guess with a show of hands, sufficient here, otherwise.
Yeah.
Okay. All those in favour of the recommendation? All those in favour of the recommendation as set out in the report? Okay, is that all? All those against? And are there any abstentions? No? Okay.
Sorry, obviously got in favour of the amendment 18.
Okay, thank you. Next one then, we move on to point 2, nominations of confirming. Oh, sorry, I thought you.
I've got a bit of a cold, so sorry, I do apologise.
So it was, that recommendation wasn't taken forward. Okay. Point 2 then, nominations for confirming of civic honours. Oh, that's a really good idea, actually, isn't it? Yeah. So we'll shift that to the end of the meeting, just in case there are any questions on the details. Right. To consider any other business specified in the summons to the meeting and to receive questions and answers from those. I'll hand over to Councillor Cowie for the Armed Forces Covenant progress.
In 2012, Hartlepool Borough Council signed the North East Armed Forces Community Charter, and in 2019 we refreshed and re-signed our own Armed Forces Community Covenant to encourage support of the Armed Forces community in our town. We are required to report progress annually in relation to the implementation of covenant responsibilities, and this is Hartlepool's 10th annual report and my second as Armed Forces Champion. The report circulates with today's agenda details our activities, our achievements in fulfilling our community covenant responsibilities and requirements of the covenant duty. Some examples of which are the prioritisation of armed forces personnel through our allocation policies for social housing and in the year school admission, and the disregarding of war, pensions and armed forces compensation payments, the extension of which was proposed in the motion included later in the agenda. I would like to thank all those involved across the local authority and our partners for all their ongoing help and in particular their involvement in making the military village as part of the Tall Ships event so successful. I am also delighted to welcome 3 new reserve units to Hartlepool: the 8th Battalion Rifles, 71 Engineer Regiment Royal Engineers and 150 Transport Regiment Royal Logistic Corps. Going forward, we remain committed to supporting our armed forces personnel and their families as an organisation. We'll be seeking revalidation of our Gold Employers Recognition Scheme award in 2024. We will also be continuing to explore all possible opportunities to better identify the need of our service personnel, their families and veterans, and deliver services with partners that respond to them. We represent our armed forces community needs on a local, regional and national basis, and develop our working relationship with Hartlepool Armed Forces associations and military detachments situated within the town. I would like to thank you for your time and commend my report to full council.
Thank you, Councillor Kelly. Are there any questions on this report? Councillor Smith.
Hi, yet again, another year I stand here and talk about Remembrance Day and the memorial that we haven't seen. But this year, I would like to put a motion forward to full council that states it makes Seton Crew Remembrance Service an official service of Hartlepool Borough Council with a start time of 12:15. We close the road for the safety of the people paying their respects on the seafront for the
Councillor Smith, I'm really sorry, but can we at least take any questions on the report first? I mean, I don't know if there are any, but we're going completely off track before we've asked.
I do apologise.
Are there any questions on the report? Sorry, I've stopped you mid-flow, but it was important.
Sorry? I've never put in motion to the floor before, so I do apologise. So just start where I went.
Sorry.
Yeah. Put resources into ensuring that the memorial is in good repair and the surrounding areas of the memorial is safe for those who are paying their respects. And we resource the adoption, should it not be undertaken, of the land associated with the Seton Crew Memorial. Yeah. Do I have a second there?
Second.
Thank you.
Okay. A proposal and a seconder. Is there any dissent from that? No? Okay. Are there any other questions or comments on the report? Thank you very much. Okay. 11A, we'll move to the Youth Justice Strategic Plan presented by Councillor
I feel privileged actually to be part of the Youth Justice Board that's driven by collective enthusiasm to deliver the high quality of safeguard provision for our young people. This is based on the Child First ethos and listening to the children. I think it's really important that this particular strategy is being put forward. It's been passed by the Children's Services, the Safer Hartlepool Partnership, and I believe the Audit and Governance. So I'd like to present this on the basis of it's secure, it's robust, and it's the best thing for the young people in the town.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Lindridge. Are there any questions on the report? Councillor Hargreaves.
Sorry. It's not so much a question, just in terms of the, this did come to Audit and Governance, and there was a discussion at Audit and Governance about the timing of the report and the period that it covers. So obviously this Youth Justice Plan is for 2023-24, and we are in December of 2023, and we'll be doing the next one very shortly for 24-25. And one of the things that we said at our committee was that, at the Audit and Governance Committee, was that we need to look at our internal processes to see how we can speed that up, because it's been everywhere, and yet actually some of the things that it's talking about delivering, like we've already done 8 months of the time that it's supposed to deliver them. So I think what I would suggest, or what I would ask the Chair to do, is perhaps if he wanted to write to the Secretary of State for this area to actually highlight the ridiculous nature of the reporting process, because what we did find out is that it's very much set out. We do not have any say over the timings. or even the format of the report. So it is absolutely prescribed nationally. And I just think that if this is the best that we can do, that we are creating a standardised report every year that is on timescales that make the report virtually redundant the moment that it is approved by us as full council, then it just kind of makes a mockery of the whole thing. And that's notwithstanding the content and the amazing work that is done by the officers, and certainly we praise them at the Audit Governance Committee. But could I ask that the Chair take that forward, please, and write and outline our concern about the process and ask for a review to make the process more expedient and more in line with actually delivering on the front line.
That's a fair point, Councillor Hargreaves. I think I would like to discuss this with partners, especially the Youth Justice Board, to get a broader perspective about their fee, because obviously they're driving forward the justice side of it, and as a partnership from Hartlepool, we need to be getting steam in the right direction. So I'm happy to take that up with the Youth Justice Board if you're happy with that.
Yeah. It's not a criticism of any of the
No,
parts.
there's some fantastic work going on, and as I said, I had the privilege of sitting on that panel, and it blows you away the amount of work that's going on that we as councillors probably don't know enough about, and the public certainly won't. So I think it was really important to expand that, and hence the report coming to full council so that we see the type of work that's going on to protect our young children. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments on this report? No? Okay, thank you. Moving on to local council tax report, Councillor Young.
Very much, Mr Mayor. So, as the report highlights, given the increasing difficulties being experienced within the current council tax support scheme, it's proposed an alternative simplified scheme be introduced from 24-25. This is for working age claimants only. There is no charge for pensioners. The new scheme is an income banded approach along the same lines as has been introduced by many local bodies in the country. The scheme will increase the maximum level of support from 88% to 90%, reduce the numbers receiving regular reassessments and rebilling of their council tax as the universal credit varies, and make the scheme simpler to understand and administer, and allow members to read the report as read from there on.
Thank you, Councillor Young. Are there any questions to the Chair on this report? Councillor Green.
Yeah, just a quick question. It states in 5.8 that there's going to be 234 households that are impacted by more than £10 a week. But then it talks about in 5.10 an exceptional hardship scheme. I'm just wondering whether there's how much, that, well, not necessarily how much that pot in the exceptional hardship, but has it been multiple and help mitigate those households?
I'll take that back to the officer and get the information to you, but I would imagine it will have been, because if you're making savings on one side, I would imagine that that would be integrated into the extra hardship that's been created.
Any further questions or comments? Okay, I do need to take this one as a recorded vote.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Allen.
For.
Councillor Boddy.
For.
Councillor Brash.
For.
Councillor Brown.
For.
Councillor Lucan.
For.
Councillor Cassidy.
For.
Councillor Craig.
For.
Councillor Cowie.
For.
Councillor Cranny.
For.
Councillor Creevy. For. Councillor Darby.
For.
Councillor Dodds.
For.
Councillor Dunbar.
For.
Councillor Feeney.
For.
Councillor Groves.
For.
Councillor Hall.
For.
Councillor Highfield. For. Councillor Harrison. For. Councillor Holbrook.
For.
Councillor Howson. For. Councillor Leedham.
For.
Councillor Lindridge.
For.
Councillor Little. For. Councillor Martin Willis.
For.
Councillor Moore.
For.
Councillor Melanie Morley. Councillor Morley. Sorry, no. Councillor David Nicholson.
For.
Councillor Veronica Newson. For. Councillor Oliver. For. Councillor Reid.
For.
Councillor Shaw.
For.
Councillor Smith. For. Councillor Thompson. For. Councillor Wallace.
For.
Councillor Young. For. Thank you, Chair. It just has to be by law and recorded vote.
And then item 3, council tax premiums. Councillor.
Thank Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This report brings forward proposals to amend the levels of premiums in place for long-term empty dwellings, as well as for second homes. Firstly, on long-term empty and unfurnished premises, it's proposed to introduce a 200% premium for homes empty after 5 years from April 2024, and also bring in the 300% premium for homes empty after 10 years from April 2025. Both of these premiums are allowable under existing legislation. In addition, the recently approved London Open Regeneration Act has allowed us to bring forward a 100% premium from 2 years to 1 year, and is proposed to implement this from April 2024. The rest of the report is as read.
Mr. Young, any questions? No? Okay. Again, this one needs to be a recorded vote.
Sorry. Councillor Allen. Councillor Boddy. Councillor Brash. Councillor Brown. Councillor Boothman. Councillor Cassidy. Councillor Clayton. Councillor Cowie. Councillor Canning. Councillor Creevy. Councillor Derby. Councillor Dodds. Councillor Dunbar. Councillor Feeney. Councillor Groves. Councillor Hall. Councillor Hargreaves. Councillor Harrison. Councillor Holbrook. Councillor Howson. Councillor Leaven. Councillor Lindridge. Councillor Little. Councillor Martin Wells. Councillor Moore. Councillor Morley. Councillor Dave Nicholson. Councillor Veronica Nicholson. Councillor Cook. Councillor Reeve. Councillor Sharp. Councillor Smith. Councillor Thompson. Councillor Wallace. Councillor Young. Carried unanimously.
Thank you. The next one, it comes under 11B. It does actually have a lot of pink pages on there. So I'll ask members now if there are any questions that relate to the pink pages so that I can again shift the agenda around slightly. Councillor Hargreaves.
Chair, I don't have a question about the pink papers, but I want to propose a deferment of this item. So I don't know whether you want to take that before that might actually negate the discussion, the need discussion on the pink papers.
Well, I'll hand over to Councillor Young for his report to take.
Could I suggest a compromise that we agree in principle that we need to build children's homes and this is one that needs to be built, but we have a seminar for members to discuss the finances with a view to them bringing it back to finance and policy just to get those finances correct. Is that a compromise?
I mean, I think, well, one of the things I would have said is I don't think that there's anybody in this room that doesn't understand the need for the children's home and for provision for children, and certainly on this side we absolutely support that, and we understand the pressures, but the deferment, as you say, is about the costs, and just, you know, they seem exorbitant in nature, and I'm willing to be persuaded, but there isn't enough detail in here to give me sufficient sort of put my mind at rest when we're dealing with that amount of money of the public purse. So I think, you know, further information would be helpful.
Can I just then, because we've got other people already raising their hands, can I at least ask Councillor Young to bring the report and then we'll have the debate, even if it's just as read. Councillor Young. Because otherwise we're having debate on the issue before the report's even being presented to Council.
Well, what I would suggest is we say the report was read, Mr. Mayor, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Brash.
Can I just seek clarity on the compromise that we just set out? Is he saying that we agree in principle that we need to invest in children's homes, but that we are not agreeing the financing of this particular proposal until members have greater clarity on it? Is that's the compromise that we are absolutely
Please.
Sorry, Councillor Young. Any prudential borrowing has to be agreed on the floor of council. So whilst you might defer to have further discussion, you might have to have it back in February, which then, or sooner, you could have an extraordinary council meeting.
The only caveat to all of this, and I say this with a guard, is there is an individual involved in this process who has extreme emotional needs, and I think that's all I just need to say on that point, and any deferment is probably going to have an effect on that.
Thanks, Chair. And just to clarify even further, you mentioned it coming back to finance and policy. It needs to come back here, yes. So it comes back to full council, and I think it's I think it's too late in February. I think we should try to do that before then.
Chair, can I just seek clarification? We're going to arrange an urgent members seminar, which will have to be next week. And I would suggest that I call an extraordinary council soon after to arrange for the potential borrowing to be arranged and then to take them.
And in which case then, and I'll ask you, Councillor, since it was your proposal, is the requirement for a compromise today necessary if we're going to hold a member seminar to get all the answers we require and then bring it back to the next ordinary?
That's what being asked for, so that's what we're going to do. But what I would suggest is, I mean, my ideal situation would be to have the seminar and then the meeting within a couple of days of that.
Yes.
So I don't think it needs to happen the same week.
Okay, so I've had the proposal from Councillor Young. Does anyone want to second that?
Yes.
Councillor Cookin. Okay, Councillor Brash.
I mean, I think it's absolutely, it's incredibly important to understand that the reason we don't want to agree financing tonight is because it is an extraordinary amount of public money and we don't really know how to arrive at a figure. And I think it's beholden on all of us to ensure we have that detail before we agree the expenditure of public money.
Councillor Smith.
I'd just like to say I agree with Councillor Brash. There isn't enough information in this report to be able to make a decision, especially when it's such a high value. But can I also request the meeting after 5 o'clock, so after the 10, please?
And Councillor Young.
It's okay.
Right. Councillor Freeman.
Yeah, can I just say one thing that's particularly important from our side of the floor has been around the lack of information about benchmarking, about whether these are appropriate costs. So I just want to make sure that that is included in the next seminar. I'm not sure whether that happened yet or not, but that's one of our real concerns about this, is whether it's the right cost or whether it's just an impact on the
Thank you.
I think that the concern, Councillor Creevy, is the cost is only ever going to go up, so any delay is going to cost more money, is what I would suggest.
So we've had a proposal, we've had it seconded. Can we vote on that, please? So we'll accept the recommended, we won't accept the recommendation. We'll accept the deferment based on the fact that we all acknowledge Children's Home does need to be done, subject to a member seminar and then another full council. Yeah?
Yeah.
Thank you. Right, moving to item 12. Consider motions in the order that they have been received. For the first one, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's about people living in Hartlepool illegally. We propose that this council writes to the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, and our Member of Parliament, Jill Mortimer, supporting her position to remove people who are living in Hartlepool illegally. Some have been refused asylum up to 3 times. Number 2, this council will never support the use of hotels to house people living in the town illegally. Number 3 on that motion is to seek information and send information from and to Border Force, the Home Office and other public sector bodies such as Cleveland Police regarding people who are living in the town illegally. And then the final part of that is to resolve to protect all those living here legally. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Have we got a seconder for that motion? Councillor Darby. Councillor Brash.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to start actually just by, this is an extraordinary motion. I've never witnessed a political party bring forward a motion that they bear the complete failings of their own party to such an extent before. It is quite extraordinary. And of course we support this motion. I mean, wouldn't we? It's about illegality. We support the rule of law. I said almost a year ago to the day, I was on TV when I did it, that I would never support hotel use. It was a year ago. Frankly, where's everyone else been in this? Of course we would support that. And I think the need frankly, to share information with the Home Office and others is of course absolutely necessary. It's not happening anywhere near enough at the moment. But I'm going to be honest, this motion does not go nearly far enough. The facts at the moment are utterly unbelievable. When the last Labour government left office in 2010, there were 7,720 people on an asylum waiting list for processing. As of August this year, the figure is 175,457. Nearly 60,000 of whom are in hotels. Clearing the backlog would save £8 million a day. Now, my rough math says that that's £8 million you could give to every local authority in England. What we could do with £8 million right now based on the finances I saw in the medium-term financial strategy. It's a system that is utterly broken, and I'm afraid was broken by the Conservative Party. But it doesn't end there. Immigration is in a similar state. The Conservatives promised to get immigration down to the tens of thousands. In the last 2 years, the net figure is 1.4 million. That's nearly 5 times as many people as live in Teesside in 2 years. And I guess my only real problem with this motion, apart from the grammar, which I'll come to in a second, is that it's just words. It's not actions. He doesn't propose to do anything to solve these problems. So, Mr. Mayor, I've got 3 amendments to this motion. And my colleague, Councillor Feeney, is handing out the substantive parts of 2 of them. I do want to fix the grammar in the first...
2 minutes.
Sorry?
2 minutes there.
Well, I'm moving an amendment to clarify. In the first paragraph, I do want to fix the grammar. It says, right to the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, and a member of Parliament, Jill Mortimer, to supporting. It's not a good sentence. So I propose removing the 3 words supporting Jill Mortimer's and just simply replace that with Hartlepool Borough Council's position. Because I feel like it's going to be Hartlepool Borough Council's position tonight. So that first sentence would simply read, right to the Prime Minister and our Member of Parliament for Bill to support Hartlepool Borough Council's position to remove people, etc., etc., etc. So one grammatical change at the beginning, please. But more substantively, on clearing the backlog, I'd like to add a clause to the motion that says that this council writes to the Prime Minister to demand the government create a cross-border police force that utilises anti-terrorist legislation to smash the criminal gangs and human traffickers who provide the boats that create this problem. That we demand the government hire 1,000 new caseworkers for the Home Office to process claims and recruit 1,000 staff to run a new returns unit to fast-track decisions and returns, and that we demand the setting of a Nightingale Court to speed up any legal challenges to asylum decisions and ensure removals are processed quickly and efficiently. On reducing immigration, that this council writes the Prime Minister to demand that he stop importing and start innovating through the following measures. Ending the scandal of allowing employers to pay an immigrant worker 20% less than a British one, which undercuts our workforce and incentivises immigration in the first place. Instead of paying £10,000 bonuses to overseas teachers to come to the UK, we invest in teacher training here at home. And instead of importing construction workers, including carpenters, bricklayers and roofers, through their points-based system of workers, we invest in further education, like the college down the road that can train bricklayers and churn them out day after day after day, but it's had its funding cut for the last 13 years in a row. And finally, to reform the apprenticeship levy, which has seen more than £3 billion go unspent since 2019, and apprenticeships have dropped by 32% since 2015 to ensure British workers get the skills required to meet the needs of our workforce. So 3 amendments, Chair: fixing the grammar at the beginning, clearing the backlog, reducing immigration. I move them. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Bash. Do you have a seconder?
Thank you. Am I allowed to speak to this?
Yeah. I've just had a session with Councillor Harris. Councillor Wallace.
Thank you very much, Chair. I have a lot of problems with this. I was very confused by it when I read it. But I don't really understand how illegal immigrants access public funding to be put up in hotels or anywhere else. I understand how people who are seeking asylum might access such funds. And the other thing I've got a problem with is I had a quick look at how the law works, deals with an asylum seeker who land on our shores. And they apply for asylum and they might be allowed it, in which case they're legal, or they may not, in which case they go to a first tier process to re-examine the case, and then there's another process after that. In each case, they have to have permission to access it, and at the very end of it, there's a judicial review process. And my understanding of the laws for solicitor is that once that's done and exhausted, that's that. They don't go around and start another asylum process again. It just doesn't happen in law. And the other point I've got is I just come across these things around the town all the time in Hartlepool. The rumour mill, the conspiracy theorists, that the Grand Hotels would be turned into some sort of huge immigrant hostel, that the Staycliffs would be turned into some huge immigrant. When Wesley's built, it goes on and on and on and on. And I do think that as civic leaders who've been elected, one of our responsibilities is to address these properly. And when they base us rumours, we need to go back and say, no, the Grand Hotel isn't going to be filled up with immigrants or whomever, and like that, and not pour water on it. And I can't help thinking, you know, I mean, when the government does this, you can understand it because there's a lot of pressure, and then they go, oh, you know, everything's gone to hell, and that's fine. But I think in the council, I think that's a bit too much.
Thank you, Councillor Wallace. So I've had an amendment from Councillor Brash which has been seconded. We need to go to vote on the amendment first. I'll ask first, is there any dissent from the amendment? No? Okay, so then that becomes the substantive motion. Is there any dissent on the changed motion? No? Thank you very much. For the second motion, I'll hand over to Councillor Lindridge.
Thanks. Yeah. When this first came to light, I was really concerned the impact it could have on the young people of Hartlepool. I immediately got in touch with the leader. I've spoken to people on the Youth Justice Board in relation to the need, not in employment, education and training. I've spoken to the principal of the College of Further Education, and they both believe that what we're proposing is really important and being the best interest of the town. I don't intend to read through all of the proposals that are put forward, but I think it's really important that if we're going to move forward as a town, we need to support the young people that are struggling to get on the ladder for further education, to support jobs, because without that basis, then we're going to struggle to have a vibrant economy in the town. I've worked with people that were having these issues many years ago and put them on programs where you help them to get up the bricklaying process so they can fall off the wagon, so to speak, and then be excluded from school, etc. And I feel really passionate about supporting this. I'd like to think members opposite and on the own side will be fully supportive of this motion. Thank you.
Councillor Lindridge. Councillor Young. And Councillor Sharp's hand up first.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks to Councillor Lindridge. I agree entirely with what you just said, what's written down in front of us. I think members will agree with me that young people in this town are one of the most important assets, especially regarding their future in education. With that being said, in the spirit of cross-party unity and with the mindset that there may be a general election within the next 12 months, I would like to suggest that we also write to the Shadow Secretary of State for Education, Bridget Phillipson, as a sort of, again, cross-party push for this motion.
Do you agree with that? Yeah, I agree with that.
Councillor Harrison?
Thanks, Chair. Just to add my support for this motion, and I think vocational education has taken a big whack over a number of years. We obviously don't need to train our young people for vocation because they're doing other things. Education at the moment is not tailored for the individual young person. It's tailored for a societal vision of what somebody somewhere wants to happen in education. And it's not right. It's not good enough as it stands, but by taking away more will be devastating. So yes, I'll support this motion. I think even give it a little bit more teeth will be a good thing.
It's not age-based, but I agree with it.
Thank you.
Just on the basis of, we had a proposal there from Councillor Sharp and it sounded like it was seconded by Councillor Lindridge. Just for the sake of doing things properly, I'm assuming there's no debate, dissent, thank you, Councillor Harrison, in that becoming, being added and becoming the main motion, no? Okay, if that's the case, are there any further comments before we agree this motion? No? Can we agree then?
Yes.
Thank you. And the third one, I will hand over to Councillor Brush.
Thanks, Chair. Obviously, the motion is written as is, and I know members will have read it. I speak tonight as a new proud member of the Royal Resolution. I know members opposite are also members, and newly so as well in some cases. The Royal Resolution's Proud of Their Service campaign demands an end to the treatment of military compensation as income by welfare benefit means tests, which results in veterans and their families missing out on thousands every year. It's estimated there's around 150,000 veterans in our country in receipt of military compensation. And RBL estimates that over 10,000 local benefit awards every single year count military compensation as part of the test. I've had the opportunity to discuss this with our Chief Finance Officer. I know that it's absolutely right to be open about this, that we do take military compensation into account for council tax support, but we do potentially for other means-tested benefits that we award. And as such, he's of the view that it's a perfectly reasonable, financially sound idea to discount all military compensation from all local means-tested benefits. It's completely wrong that somebody who has received compensation because of their service to our country then loses out on support as a result of that compensation. I would love your unity across the chamber on this issue, Chair. Thank you.
Councillor Morley down second.
I have the absolute honour of seconding this motion as a daughter of an RAF veteran. My father was in the Gulf War, the first one, and it's extremely harrowing as a child not knowing if your dad or mother is coming back. When we moved back to Hartlepool, my father was actually entitled to very little. Councillor Carey knows my dad very well. The first Saturday of every month, the RAF Association and the British Legion and others have breakfast clubs, and this thing is really heavily discussed. So I would be extremely grateful. I'm standing here on behalf of my father and many, many others' children. I would be extremely grateful if everybody supported this motion. Thank you.
Councillor Morley. Are there any other comments on this motion? No? I'm assuming there's no dissent. Or is that? Okay, thank you. 1 is passed. Right. Agenda item 13. Managing Director report.
Thank you, Chair. I do apologise for a number of reports this evening that come out over the week. I'll try and get through them as briefly as possible. Committee member changes. Being informed that Councillor Veronica Dixon will replace Councillor Smith on Autumn Governance, and Councillor Darby will replace Councillor Veronica on Health and Wellbeing Board. There have been no special urgent decisions during August 23 to October 23. Ask members to look at the business report too. I've included a copy of the LGA Corporate Pay Challenge 6-month progress update. Members are asked to note the reports. Are there any questions? No. Further committee membership changes have been informed that Councillor Wilkin will replace Councillor Moore on Neighbourhood Services Committee. And I have been informed that Councillor Brian Carey will become the Vice Chair of that committee, a replacement member. Also received a proposal which isn't in the report for members to consider as a verbal update. The proposal is the relevant policy chair join the appointments panel relevant to the vacancy in their sort of portfolio. So in addition to the membership, I think that's something we can all agree on, hopefully. Yep, that's correct. Suspension of blue badge car parking charges. The motion to suspend the blue badge car parking charges in July this year until such a time as proper engagement with the disabled community can take place and issues they have highlighted can be addressed to their satisfaction. Set out in the report that we met the community-led inclusion partnership. We've undertaken full consultation and engagement with them, and we now have an agreed action plan with them to take forward. I therefore would like to recommend Council agree to lift the suspension on parking charges for blue badge holders in council car parks from January.
Councillor Clay.
Thanks, Chair. I'm just reading this report and I've gone back and read the motion from July. The spirit of the motion was to have those amendments to the parking meetings completed. Making a list of them is not really completing anything. I'm also curious to see that this has come back within 6 months of the original decision, so is it not going back and revisiting one within 6 months?
I can come back on the works we envisaged have done by January, which is why I'm asking for it to be implemented immediately. There are some car parks which we talked about that are on third-party ownership. We are finding it difficult with the third party. They may take a little bit longer. However, in the spirit of the motion, the vast majority of the works will be undertaken in full consultation, as we have done, and in agreement with the community-led inclusion partnership. 6-month rule I refer to the monitoring website.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, the wording of the motion was that until such time as proper engagement with the disabled community can take place and the issues that they have highlighted can be addressed to their satisfaction. And I think the feedback that we've received is that the action plan is to their satisfaction. And so I don't believe that it would be in breach of the 6-month rule.
Thank you. Councillor Clayton.
Thanks, Chair. So first of all, can I just clarify with the Managing Director, are we talking about bringing charges back immediately? January. Can I ask why the signage is going to take in down?
So I've looked into that because it was raised to me, as far as we can understand, no instruction has been given for any notices to be removed. There were temporary notices, so I can only envisage that people have removed them or the bad weather has resulted in them being removed. We can put temporary signage back up to make sure that that is the case. But no instruction has been given to any officers to remove that notices, and we will take that forward.
Councillor Pratt.
Just very brief clarity on that. Obviously, sometimes works can end up taking longer than we envisaged. Are you making clear tonight that until those works are complete, those charges will return?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, weather independent and everything else, which is a very good thing. So if it means middle of January, February, that would be the case. I do, I think, Chair. I think. The business report 3, I think, on that. So this is report 3, it's just an update on Hartlepool Development Corporation. The papers are available on the King Valley Combined Authority website. I don't intend to go through them in detail, and I did email members regarding the future modification of the centre, the agreements, so that they were informed as soon as I possibly could before the social media went out.
Councillor Freeman.
Can I just ask for some clarification for those of you that sit on the MDC? Because I'm a little confused, having read the papers in the meeting this week as well. In terms of the audit of governance, I know that I've been appointed as the member from Hartlepool to sit on the audit governance committee. And my understanding is that only one person was recruited as an independent. Can you clarify that?
Yeah, there was one independent person, you're absolutely right, but the actual appointment can have up to 5 independents, and it's about people who put themselves forward.
So am I right in thinking that at the moment there is no effective audit governance committee because there's only 2 people at the moment for that entity?
I don't understand I don't know the governance arrangements of the combined authority, so I need to go back and
Can we clarify?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm a little concerned that this entity's been involved since June and we still haven't got on the committee. Can we also clarify about the scrutiny role of that committee? I've got another question. Again, this is for those of you that sit on that committee. I'm a little concerned at the moment that the planning register that is online at the moment has got quite a significant number of planning applications rolling along, but we don't seem to be getting any notification that as ward members, when they're sitting on board, there's none of them in my board, but I did have a look and I spoke to my colleagues and we haven't been receiving any notifications that there's issues being flagged up.
Yeah, that's something we definitely ask for, so if that's not happening, we'll make sure it is in the future.
Yeah. I know, strangely, I received, not as a board member, but as a ward member, I received notification of a planning application that was on Church Street, which is no longer in my ward. So clearly, that needs to be rectified. Anybody else? Sorry, I do apologise, I've forgotten your name.
It's Karen.
Sorry, Karen. Sorry.
I'm obviously not saying I went to the radar. Just on that last point, so yeah, it'd be great to get information on what planning applications are happening in individual wards, but will that just be for information or will we actually be able to comment?
We'll be able to comment.
So we'll have a, say that.
Yes.
Okay. Just to go for anything else. Anything you say?
Have you anything to say? Okay. Okay, there are no questions from the public this month. Any questions from the council, from members of the council under Rule 10A? I'm ready. Yeah. None under 8, no. I've got nothing under B. Oh, sorry.
It's not so much, it's probably a question to myself, but I need support from members opposite. Obviously, the legacy of Torchlift is a massive opportunity for us all. There's been an approach from an organisation to help us with some of that scope, so I'd like to work with members opposite please to try and find the best way forward in terms of legacy, in terms of that mapping out, if that's okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Nothing under B, C or D. So at this point then, I move to go into closed session. Okay. I'll move that we go into closed session to discuss the items that we prepared previously. Can I second that?
Yeah.
Thank you. Right. We'll just take a couple